15, and we will call to order the June 3rd, 2024 P and Z work session meeting. At this time, we will open up for public comments. If anyone wishes to make a comment, please limit those to 3 minutes, and please state your name and city of residence for the record.
None. And I just want to note that Councilmember So Grant is online.
Perfect. Seeing none in person, we'll go ahead and close the public comments, and we will turn the meeting over to our planning director, Mr. Brian Chandler.
All right, thank you very much. So the three items on tonight's agenda, we have a conditional use permit for a package store, or also known as a liquor store, at 6504 West Adams. This is in that new, is it Dollar General? Dollar Tree, thank you, yes. And when the applicants are here as well to be able to answer any questions during the workshop or just during the after the presentation during the public hearing. And I guess any questions about that? So it's one of the tenant spaces. I believe it's the one the westernmost one. Yes. Thank you.
How far is it away from the school? From Holy Trinity?
Well, it's so in terms of distance, property line to property line, they share a property line. So in terms of the actual distance from building to building, I'm not sure, but it's 384. Thank you. So I know they've done their homework. But yes, so the distance does not apply for unless the school were to request that it applies. So Kyle, do you want to address that?
So there are two different subsections that deal with distance. A1 has a general 300-foot requirement from a place selling alcohol and a church or school. There is also a subsection A2. That is when private school requests 1,000-foot distance measurement. However, subsection A1 doesn't apply to a license or permit covering a premise where minors are prohibited from entering under the Alcoholic Beverage Code. And then subsection A2 also has basically the exact same exception listed in theirs. And Alcoholic Beverage Code where 109.53 which is where minors are prohibited from entering is things like package stores where their exclusive sale is we only sell alcohol for off-premise consumption. So this would fall under that exception for both the 300-foot requirement and the 1,000-foot, where we too have received a request from the school for that 1,000-foot to apply.
Did you say you have not received a request?
We have not found a request regarding the 1,000 feet. But the reality is, regardless of whether there was one or not, both the 300 feet and the 1,000 feet have the same exception for this type of facility.
Thank you, Kyle. And if a restaurant that serves, has a bar or a bar itself would apply to the distance requirements. So the packet, yeah. Yes, sir. I know.
I just wanted to get a little bit more. Yeah.
Sir, would you mind coming up here? All right.
Yes.
Just make sure we get you on the record. Thank you. State your name and city or
residents.
Richard Lewis. I live at 6914 Old Waco Lane. That is my mother. She lives at 6819 Jupiter Drive in Temple. Yeah, we took a direct hit on that F2. That was fun. On my to do again list. Anyway, no, our family, we own the Point Package Stores. We have 3 current locations inside Temple City limits. We have 2 in Killeen. We had one, very good one at the old Albertsons building. However, 7-Eleven bought it. They bought us out, but I would like to expand. We've had them for 30, how many years? 30, 40 years. We've never had an issue. All of our stores are clean. But our license is more important. No minors allowed in our stores unless accompanied by their parent. We still don't like it, but TABC does do stings, and we've never failed. So we don't have any issues. There's no loitering around there. He has examples of 0.7. We have 2 in Killeen, 0.7. It'll mirror that one completely. We will not have a drive-through. So there will not be traffic going behind the building or whatnot. So come in and you leave, but they're clean. No minors allowed. We're within compliance with TABC. We've already spoken with Amy. TABC requires 300 minimum door-to-door. We're at 384 from the school. We're also over that amount because they also include the clinic and that daycare. The road is not accessible through the entrance of the high school, the Catholic High School. Our hours are mandatory 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. Monday through Saturday. So we would only be open after school started. But even if we weren't, they can't come in anyway. But we're within compliance of that. And if we were to get caught breaking any of those rules, we lose our liquor license, and 5 other stores isn't worth that mistake. I would rather be safe than sorry. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Next item is on, east of Distribution Drive. This is actually a TEDC application for rezoning. And so it's, this is still a confidential project. So we only know enough to be able to say that this prospect needs to be able to amend our light manufacturing definition within the light industrial zoning district to allow for basically repurposing raw materials. So that's something that they felt strongly about, and so ultimately once everything it moves forward and gets approved, then that'll be a project that gets publicized. But up to this point, this is very typical, as you all have seen and probably know, that prospects investing millions and millions of dollars are reluctant to make their company name public until everything is signed and sealed. So this is something that staff is supporting as a plan development, light industrial zoning district. We do have a site plan, a concept plan to attach to it, but that's really the gist of that one. Any questions?
No.
All right. And then the last one, and Shelby will be the presenter for, this is an I-35 signage appeal. This is for Buc-ee's, but this is on the loop side. Thank you. So you can see the sign location. And I think the takeaway from this is that they could do another pylon sign. It would not be able to be as tall as their original one, but they could do essentially a pole sign. They've elected to do a monument sign with gas prices and also some information about their car wash. And essentially those messages, we're in support of the larger size that, that is far smaller than what would be allowed a pylon sign and far shorter. And generally monument signs are preferred, and we understand that that's not often what is selected. So in this case, we're supporting the appeal and think it's justified. So any questions about it? All right. That is essentially all that I have. I wanted to also recognize Mark Baker because this is his.
Sure.
Is this your last meeting? Okay. I was about to say, I think I said last time this would be his second to last meeting. So yeah, the math works out. And but yeah, so Mark's last P and Z meeting, and so wish him well and his family as they relocate to Corpus. And so we'll miss him, but his departure has also provided opportunity within the department. And so we've been able to promote Cheryl, principal planner, actually Jason as well, principal planner. Shelby gets promoted to senior planner, and our Tunisia is going to be a planner. And so it's exciting to see competent staff take those opportunities, and so that's exactly, as a manager, what you want to see. And so I'm excited about those new opportunities. Going to miss Mark, but yeah, so that helps offset the loss of a great planner. So just thought y'all would be interested in that, and that is essentially all that I have.
Thank you, Brian. Appreciate it. And again, Mark, thank you too for everything. At this time, commissioners, I'll take volunteers for the invocation. Okay. Just going to my seating chart, see who I wanted to. And a volunteer for the pledge, please. Jeremy, okay. All right, we will now hear from Mrs. Kathy Gover regarding affidavits.
Commissioner, I have no affidavit, just saying that this is correct.
Yes. All right, and with no further business, we'll adjourn the workshop at 5:28. You would think invocation was a dirty one. It's sad that our society kind of has that insinuation. Okay. Perfect. All right, I will now call to order the June 3rd, 2024 Planning and Zoning Commission regular meeting at this time. Mrs. Gover, may we please have the roll?
Yes, good evening and welcome to the June 3rd, 2024 Planning and Zoning Commission open session meeting. Commissioners, please state present if in attendance. Commissioner Morales,
Present.
Commissioner Walker,
Present.
Commissioner Jurassic,
Present.
Commissioner Krause,
Present.
Commissioner Smith,
Present.
Commissioner Jeans. For the record, Commissioner Jeans is not present. Commissioner Carney,
Present.
Vice Chair McBride. For the record, Vice Chair McBride is not present. Chair Marshall.
Present.
For the record, our quorum is present with 7 commissioners in attendance. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy.
You're
If
welcome.
everyone would please rise with me, we'll be led in the invocation by Commissioner Krause, followed by the pledge by Commissioner Walker.
Please bow your heads. Lord, we thank you this day for all of your blessings, all of your guidance, all of your wisdom, and most of all, just for looking out for this community during the last few weeks. We ask for your knowledge and guidance as we go through this meeting tonight and praise you in the name of Jesus. Amen.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. We will now confirm the meeting agenda items. Commissioners, are there any questions or comments? Seeing none, since there is no objection, the meeting agenda items are approved by unanimous consent. And we will now open the public comment section. If there are any public comments at this time, please limit those comments to 3 minutes and please state your name and city of residence for the record.
I'll go ahead and once again note that Councilmember Zoe Grant is online. Also have an attendee by the name of Drew Donosky. And there are no other members online.
Thank you, Jason. Seeing no public comments in person, we'll go ahead and close the public comment section. Move to the consent items. On the consent agenda is the approval of item 4, the May 20th, 2024 Planning and Zoning Commission regular meeting minutes. Commissioners, are there any questions or objections? With none, item 4 is approved by unanimous consent. And we'll move on to item number 5. FY-24-24-ZC, hold a public hearing to discuss and recommend action on a conditional use permit to allow retail sales of all alcoholic beverages for off-premise consumption at 6504 West Adams Avenue, Temple, Texas. In this case, will be presented by Principal Planner, Mr. Jason Deckman.
Thank you for the promotion. All right. Good evening, Chair and Commissioners. The council schedule for this case is on the screen as you mentioned.
Jason, 1 second.
That says on.
Oh. We even looked at this last week. Thank you. We'll make that correction. So this is on West Adams. You'll see the property Crossroads Park is here, Outer Loop or Hilliard Road to the west, right on Adams. The big Walmart properties over here just to the south. And you see on the aerial photo that we've got fast food and coffee and the school in behind. We've got residential property to the east, and there's some other retail, restaurant and coffee to the south across to Adams. So this is in a recently completed retail building. It's in these 2 suites as circled. You can see on the west side of the building, you can see that the school here, and there's a wider view showing the proximity to the school. This view shows the rest of the building. You'll see this wall here is in another photo. So that is for the respect to the privacy of the homes adjacent to the retail development. And then to the front, you see this kind of panoramic view of the Arby's, KFC, and Popeyes and Dutch Brothers Coffee. So it is off-premise retail, thank you, for sales of alcohol. The code calls it a package store, but in the common language, most folks call it a liquor store. It does require a conditional use permit in the GR zoning. So as we showed you on the photos, it's an existing retail site. The landscaping, parking, lighting, and signage are installed. And UDC section 5.3.17 lays out standards and requirements for a package store. One of the allowances that the business may have a pickup window. As you heard from Mr. Lewis earlier, there will be no pickup window proposed, so it's all internal. Walk in, make your purchase, and walk back out. Chapter 4 does have restrictions on distance from alcohol sales. We will cover that on the next slide. This is in Belton Independent School District, and as you can see, it's also located next to the Trinity Catholic High School. And here's the internal site plan. So you see the two entrance doors, the register, and then the interior layout. So Chapter 4 governs sales of alcohol near a school, church, or hospital, and sales of alcohol beverage is prohibited within 300 feet of a church, public or private school, or a public hospital, or 1,000 feet of a private school if they receive a request from the governing body of the private school. However, there are two exemptions, and that is for the retail sales and service, or if you have a food and beverage certificate. So this would fall under the second, which is the package store exemption. So it's exempt from this section A1. A1 does not apply if they have the package store permit, someplace where minors are not allowed to enter, located within 300 feet. And section A2 also does not apply for the 1,000 feet up here. A2 does not apply if it's a package store and minors are not allowed. So that exemption is met. So the distance is not applicable for this case. As far as traffic analysis, liquor store is probably the least traffic generating use on that property. The fast food, the coffee are the big ticket items there. They would be expected to generate around 322 trips a day. Major arterial West Adams, according to the comp plan, can handle 20 to 40,000 daily trips. The current volume is 30,000. So while this does add to the traffic, not a big addition. I was also asked to show just some of the safety aspect of all the entrances and turning movements onto and off of Adams. You see that pretty much anywhere there's an entrance, a driveway, there's a little hot spot, which is kind of to be expected because you do have people that will make left turns or not yield. And of the crashes, no fatalities, one serious injury. So that's good news. These are mostly fender benders. And the common factors are failure to control speed, inattention, or turning left and failing to yield. So that's tends to be the trend on a big arterial. What's notable is that the bigger hotspots are not at the entrances to this facility, the school or Walmart. They're at the major intersections with Outer Loop and then over here on Brooks Drive. We did send out 10 notices to property owners within 200 feet. This time we've had no notices returned in either agreement or disagreement, and the newspaper had printed the notice on May 23rd. So conditional use permit, this is standard for any use permit, whether it's alcohol or other uses, that the council may issue the permit but may deny or revoke it if they determine that this is incompatible with the surrounding uses of the property or detrimental or offensive to the neighborhood. And the permittee must demonstrate that they would not be detrimental to the public welfare, that they would not create a nuisance, and they would indeed be a good neighbor. So in terms of staff looking at the code, is this compatible with the neighboring property? These are the criteria that we look at for all conditional use permits. We've said yes. We've put an asterisk on there in recognition of the fact that yes, while it meets code, there may be some subjective perception of a liquor store next to the school, but from a code standpoint, it is a yes. And the other categories, normal development, utilities, access, and drainage, those are already installed. Safe, convenient movement of traffic. There are plenty of entrances. There's a wide driveway through there. We showed you the safety map that, yeah, there's an existing hotspot, but that's no surprise along that part of West Adams. Would not generate any odors or noise, fumes. Lighting and landscaping are already in place. So this does hit all the criteria for conditional use permit review. And staff recommends approval of the conditional use permit to allow retail sales of alcohol beverage for off-premise consumption at 6504 West Adams Avenue, subject to the following conditions. And these are pretty straightforward: compliance with chapter 4 for sales of alcohol, compliance with UDC section 5.3.17, the site plan, which we showed you early. And then if there's any significant changes to the use of the property, that would require approval by city council. For example, if they were going to add the drive-through window, if they decided that the liquor store business needed to change and become a restaurant with alcohol sales, those would be the type of things that would come back to this commission and the city council. So that concludes my presentation. I'll take any questions.
Thank you, Jason. Commissioners, any questions?
Well, I don't know if I have questions. I do have concerns. One, we go back to Adams, it's so busy. I've tried to go into the dollar store. It is very difficult to get in and get out of that area. Secondly, not that I don't agree with, businesses and for us to try to work with all those that need to be in the area, but it is so close to high school. You see, it is also close to a daycare. It is also close to a clinic. And it's not about the store not taking care of the customers and watching who they're selling to. It's those that come in and come out. If you've seen some of the people that go in to the packaging store, some of them are already drunk. Some of them already been drinking. And my concern is that being so close to so much going on within that traffic, kids going up and down the streets through there, especially through the high school. I've seen them running when they're track and so forth. It just doesn't feel right, doesn't set right, that we need to look at the safety of everyone concerned. I don't know what else to say other than I just really feel very concerned about the location situation, not about the business, not about them having it. I'm sure they will take care of the customers and so forth, but it's just where it's located.
I do have a question, Jason. Did I understand correctly that chapter 4 only applies if a minor is allowed to enter the premises?
I
Because
think, yes, that's what we're saying. Let me pull that code section back.
the distance requirements only apply.
Right.
Sorry, yes, not all
Yeah,
of
yeah.
chapter 4. Yeah,
Right.
okay.
Yeah, I mean, they're still required to, not sell alcohol to minors, even if, they're
Of course.
come in and have a fake ID.
Right. And that's not property line to property line?
Yeah, property line, it's property line. I'm saying the distance doesn't apply because it's the package store,
Right.
but the other sections of chapter 4 would still apply. That they can't sell alcohol to minors, they can't sell.
Just making sure that
anything yeah,
I just have a functional understanding of the
Sure.
exception. The distance is measured from property line to property line, but
Correct.
because it's an exception due to the licensing that the state issues.
got it.
Okay.
You got it.
Yes,
Yeah.
that is correct. It's property line to property line in general. But subsection A has the two exceptions that they've put down there. So in those cases, you don't have the 300 feet doesn't apply. The 1,000 feet has a total of 5 exceptions. We put down the one that's actually applicable in this case on this slide.
Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Besides that email, there wasn't any other pushback from the school?
Yeah, and the applicants had reached out to the school prior to submitting, asking for a letter of approval or recommendation, and the school, in the emails in the packet said, we declined to grant you a letter of approval, I think was.
All right.
But we've not, since we sent out the notices, we have not heard back from the school.
School did receive a notice though,
Yes,
because it's within them.
yes.
Again, I just want to make a comment. It's not just about the school that I'm concerned about. It's about the location, the traffic, the way that you're going in and out of and the people who actually go in and purchase. We don't know them because they're open from morning till late at night.
To be fair, on the slide that showed the traffic usage or count, I do believe that it presented the least amount, whereas if a fast food chain were to be in there in lieu of this business, traffic count would be 4 times as high almost. So I don't see where a traffic count presents an issue.
I'm looking at 1,300 versus 322.
All right, commissioners, if there's no more questions or general comments at this time, I will go ahead and open up a public hearing. This case does require a public hearing, and we will now open it. If you wish to speak and are attending in person, please come to the podium. If you're viewing the meeting online, please virtually raise your hand and please state your full name and city of residence for the record.
Rich Lewis, again, Temple. I just want to address some of her concerns, aren't valid. People are not intoxicated when they come in. It puts my license at risk to lose all my stores. And TABC does do things. Matter of fact, it's not only alcohol. If they seem to be impaired, because some people have other things they use, we are not allowed to sell them. There's no access roadwise directly into the driveway. There's a retention pond, but why walk all the way over there when you can't get in? Also, Mr. Degman, in our meeting, he was also concerned about the going in and out with the permission and assistance, to make sure we're within compliance of the city. I have offered at my own expense to paint the entrance to where you'll have a right in off Adams. The middle lane will be left turn lane only. The right lane facing out, or the left lane facing out the building, will be right turn only. That should help with congestion. I will also add any fire lanes at that entrance. And I'll do it at my own expense and after hours. I just ask that someone from the traffic department, or I want to be within compliance that what the city wants. Thank you.
Thank you.
I do have a hand raised online, Councilmember Grant. Go ahead.
Good afternoon. I just want to state that, any business along Adams, West Adams, is going to have issues getting across the street going east anyway. It's not bringing in more traffic, and I just don't see why it should not be approved, other than, personal opinions or beliefs of what an individual might be when they're entering that store. But as far as traffic, we're going to have traffic. If we put another type of store there, it's still going to be the traffic. The suggestion of the left and right turn, and then the after hour painting, that's a great suggestion. I've seen that down by I believe it's the Little Caesars and the cake store. I cannot remember, but they have the red fire lane striping and everything there. So I don't see any issue with traffic coming into that business and or leaving.
All right, seeing no additional public comments, we will go ahead and close the public hearing. I have another question, and it's just about the exception. If Section A is specifically designed to limit the sales of alcohol within a location adjacent to these other places of business, worship, or gather, why is there an exception to allow the biggest alcohol seller to do that within that distance?
Well, I can't necessarily speak for the intent of who initially voted for it, but my thought would be that the intention is probably off-premise package stores are required to be off-premise consumption. You get in trouble if you
Of course.
consume on that property. And like he said, they're very worried about making sure that they don't have anybody that would cause them issues. So it really is you come in, you buy, you go home type of thing. And so to me, that's probably why this exception is in there. It's just like A1 doesn't apply to somebody who also holds a food and beverage certificate. So that's going to be your typical restaurant, like a Chili's or anything like that. So that's the other one that the thing just that the measurement just doesn't apply to. So it seems to me that these are the things we've determined are low risk of actually serving to minors.
Would also assume that a liquor store by a school would probably get hit with TABC stings more often than other ones, so. Yeah.
I'm
So,
sure. I just,
yeah.
y'all, this case in particular is just the one we're discussing right now, but I just mean as a general thought, if we have in our code to limit distance to a school in particular of alcohol sales, why is there an exception to allow the sale of alcohol that close to a school? That's just where I'm at on that. And I'm, it's hard for me because personally, I don't want to limit someone's enterprise or their availability. I don't want, that type of stuff too, but we also have, because we allow it in the rules, it'd be difficult in my opinion to decline it. Even with valid concerns that it's kind of a contradiction upon itself. That's kind of where I'm sitting. You want to come back up?
This is the applicant, so I don't think so.
Maybe this will help eliminate some concerns. Timmel didn't make an exception on their own for that. That actually mirrors the state law that's applicable. So it's not, Timmel just went with what the state had. So I just want to do that for clarity. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have had to modify some of the other sections of the code where what we had was more strict than what the state allowed. And
Well, the state just came back and said that you
And
can't
there's-
do that, not
well,
too
yeah.
long ago.
yeah,
Broadband.
we've had to adjust our codes and policies to mirror what the state code is because we can't preempt them.
Commissioners, if there's any other questions or comments, if not, then I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve FY 24 ZC.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Smith and a second by Commissioner Carney for approval. Kathy, may we have a vote, please?
Yes. Commissioner Morales,
No.
Commissioner Walker, Commissioner Jurassic,
Aye.
Commissioner Krause,
Aye.
Commissioner Smith,
Aye.
Commissioner Carney,
Aye.
Chair Marshall.
Aye.
Okay, the vote is 6 ayes, 1 nay, and 0 abstains. The motion carries.
Thank you, Kathy. We'll move on to item number 6, FY-24-25-ZC. Hold a public hearing to discuss and recommend action on a rezoning request with development site plan from light industrial to planned development light industrial on 55.77 acres being within Lot 1, Block 1 of the final plat of Site 64, generally located of Moores Mill Road and east of Distribution Drive, identified as Bell County Tax Appraisal District Number 506928. This case will be presented by Principal Planner, Mr. Mark Baker.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. So this actually is going to city council this coming Thursday, June 6th, and for a second reading on June 20th. So this is approximately 55 acres. It is currently zoned light industrial, and as was discussed during the workshop, this will be a planned development light industrial. We know it's a manufacturing use that's being proposed, so the base zoning will remain as light industrial. The planned development is to allow for the flexibility that the developer needs within their business model within our definition of light manufacturing. So it'll add that extra flexibility. And as you can see from the property, it is basically at the end, the current terminus of Distribution Drive. And it's this 55-acre property here. So here is the current definition that's adopted by UDC section 11.2. And so the needed flexibility relates to the extraction of raw materials that would be needed that our current light manufacturing definition does not have. So that's where the flexibility is needed. And so the site plan, which will be part of the plan development ordinance, and the we know that there is a subdivision plat that has been submitted that is in review. The property to be developed on lot 2 of this 4-lot subdivision. Lot 3 would be remain undeveloped. And it's just lot 2 and lot 3 of the subdivision that are proposed within the 55 acres for rezoning. So the other portions within that subdivision would remain light industrial and not be part of the planned development. And just some site photos. This is looking from Distribution Drive to the site. It's currently undeveloped. And looking in the opposite direction down Distribution Drive, where we both have Niagara Bottling and East Penn Distribution that are in place. And an aerial image showing Distribution Drive and the existing industrial uses, and to the east that there's primarily undeveloped land with railroad spur that is also in place. And looking to the north, undeveloped, and to the south, additional light industrial uses. So as a planned development, this is a flexible overlay zoning district. It does come with a development plan, which would be Exhibit A, which I just showed you. That is the binding site plan, and was reviewed under UDC section 3.4.5, which are the criteria for a planned development. And that table and discussion was provided in your staff report. So again, as I mentioned earlier, there is a subdivision plat which has been submitted. The rezoning is for lot 2 and lot 3. This is a replat of site 64, and that is in progress. The plat will address the extension of Distribution Drive, which is proposed as a 70-foot right-of-way, and will include utilities. PD conditions will be extended to the entire 55.7 acres. And this was reviewed by the Development Review Committee on May 20th. No issues were identified. So in terms of the zoning, the base light industrial zoning will remain. There's no change to that. The PD condition, as I mentioned earlier, will allow that additional flexibility within that within the adopted light manufacturing definition, and does not prohibit other light industrial uses or allow undesirable heavy industrial uses. So it's within the industrial future development category. This is intended to support light or heavy industrial manufacturing uses, flexible light manufacturing uses that would be addressed through the PD condition, and does not conflict with the intent of the category. So both water and sewer are available as indicated by the map. Distribution Drive is a collector. It is a design. It's being proposed as an oversized collector that will be confirmed during the plat review. And the proposal within the plat shows along the frontage of the subject property. It does not include the bend to the north. That is something that we would address through either a thoroughfare plan amendment or as future development comes in to the north. In compliance with the subdivision plat of Distribution Drive would be through the review of the plat itself as well as a construction plan review. And so primarily with the light industrial or the uses rather, it is light manufacturing we would be expecting and with the expanded light manufacturing definition. So 3 notices were sent out to property owners within 200 feet. As of tonight, no notices have been returned in either agreement or disagreement. And the newspaper printed notice on May 23rd. So in terms of the criteria that staff used to evaluate the request, all were in compliance. So staff is recommending approval subject to the following conditions. Substantial compliance with the site development plan, which I showed to you earlier, that is Exhibit A. Condition 2, that will allow the basic processing and manufacturing of materials and products predominantly from extracted or raw materials, which is within the adopted light manufacturing definition. Condition 3 would allow director discretion to approve minor modifications to the approved site plan. And condition number 4, that significant changes would go back to the Planning and Zoning Commission and City Council. And that concludes my presentation, and I'm available should you have any questions.
Thank you, Mark.
You're welcome.
Commissioners, any questions or comments? Seeing none at this time, this case does require a public hearing. We will now open the public hearing. If you wish to speak and are attending in person, please come to the podium. If you are viewing the meeting online, please firstly raise your hand and please provide your full name and city of residence for the record. Seeing none online. Seeing none in person, we will close the public hearing, and if there are no more questions or comments, I will entertain a motion.
A motion to approve item FY-24-25-DC as presented.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Carney and a second by Commissioner Morales for approval. May we have a vote, please?
Yes, Commissioner Morales,
Aye.
Commissioner Walker,
Aye.
Commissioner Jurassic,
Aye.
Commissioner Krause,
Aye.
Commissioner Smith,
Aye.
Commissioner Carney,
Aye.
Chair Marshall.
Aye.
The vote is unanimous and the motion carries.
All right, we'll move along to item number 7, FY-24-1-APL. Hold a public hearing and consider an appeal of standards from the Unified Development Code, UDC, section 6.7.7.1 or I, it doesn't matter, to allow an exception to the sign height maximum in the I-35 Gateway Subway District overlay from 8 foot to 14 foot 9 inches in height. The sign maximum size of 50 square feet to 119.97 square feet for property addressed at 4155 North General Bruce Drive. In this case will be presented by planner Mrs. Shelby Smith.
Thank you. Excuse me. Good evening, Chairman of the Commission and members of the Commission. So this is for a car wash sign variance for the Buc-ee's, and this will be presented tonight, of course, and also for the June 20th City Council meeting. Okay, so you can see on the left a vicinity map. This is located off of I-35 and Loop 363. And then on the right, you can see the proposed sign location off of the 363 loop. All right, so the property is located in the I-35 corridor overlay, specifically in the Gateway sub-district of the I-35 corridor. And again, this is just an outline of where the property is located here. So there are adjacent, this is really just a zoning map of the property. So the property is zoned commercial plan development. Surrounding zonings include agriculture and light industrial. According to the UDC section 7.6.2, this basically this little paragraph you see on the screen is a definition of the monument sign. And the tables here is showing what the maximum height is. It's 8 feet and the maximum area is 50 square feet. And the appeal is to allow for a monument sign of 14 feet 9 inches in height and 119.47 square feet within the I-35 corridor overlay. And we do want to make note of, and it's something that Brian mentioned earlier, the applicant is entitled to an additional pylon or a pole sign, which had larger standards than the requested monument sign. So this is the proposed site plan. Again, this is where the sign location is, where they're wanting to place the sign. And then you can see here, this is what the monument sign is actually designed to look like. So again, Buc-ee's is an active operating business. This sign is for their car wash that they're proposing. So here are some site photos here. The first one here is the picture of the car wash that's currently under construction. And then you see the existing Buc-ee's right here. And then also their existing pylon or pole sign here off of the North General Bruce Drive. To the southeast, there is an industrial use of the Niagara Bottling Warehousing, and this is zoned light industrial. On the west, kind of across I-35, there's commercial uses, so including Sevco with a commercial zoning. And then to the north, there are more commercial uses and commercial zoning, and you can see what those signs are looking like, what those businesses are there. And then on the east, there's undeveloped land at this time, and that zoning is light industrial. So staff does recommend the approval of the sign height of 14 feet, 9 inches and the sign size of 119.47 square feet. And I'll pause for any questions.
Thank you, Shelby. Quick question, what is the setback requirement for like a monument sign on that main point of entry off of Loop 363?
Oh, sorry. I'll let Kyle get that one.
I guess what I'm trying to ask is we're not creating a blind left turn, are we?
That's my concern.
No,
Yeah.
it shouldn't create a blind left turn there, and it's based on the height. So
Okay.
I couldn't tell you off the top of my head, but it's based off of the height, and every so many feet tall, it has to be that many, another foot back.
Okay.
Well, in lieu of a pole, you would have 120 square feet in lieu of a pole to look through.
Yeah.
So
you
where would that sign be in relation to the road setback on the property? So it wouldn't obstruct the view of traffic coming out of Buc-ee's. If it was limited to a right turn only out of Buc-ee's, then it wouldn't be an issue, but.
Yeah, and it's not in, it's on their property, so there's a lot of green grass between the road and there. I mean, we show it on the right of way there, but it's actually on their property, so it'll
Okay.
be set back more than that.
So it's not in the right of way.
No,
Okay.
it would have to be on their property. To do it in the right of way, you have to get a street use license. They haven't applied for that.
Okay.
And that would be subject to yet another hearing with city council, so.
Okay.
Chairman Marshall, this may be a good time to point out, Mr. Donosky has his hand raised.
Oh, yes. Okay.
And I know we're not to the public comment yet, but just bring it to your attention
Thank you.
for the applicant. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. I would say if he's going to address my question, he can go ahead and speak if he wants to.
Thank you. Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Can.
Perfect. The question about whether the sign's in the right of way or on private property, I was just going to answer that it is actually, it's first row of parking spaces. So it's not even up against the right of way line. There's a good 20-25 feet of easement that we have to stay clear of, even on our own property. So the distance between the sign and the actual roadway is over 100 feet, which is, you know, more than 5 cars stacked up back to back to back, waiting to make a decision on how to turn. So there's plenty of room there for visibility.
Perfect. Thank you.
Absolutely.
So that also answers, it's well beyond what the setback is even required at that point.
Right. Yep. And then the right of way. So there's
Yes.
even, yep. Okay. Thank you, Kyle.
And something I forgot to mention, so this did go to the Development Review Committee. So that was something that we were able to take a look at if there were any visibility, line of visibility issues as well.
Perfect. Seeing no more questions or comments for now, this case does require a public hearing. We will now open the public hearing, and if you wish to speak and are attending in person, please come to the podium. If you're viewing the meeting online, please virtually raise your hand and please state your full name and city of residence for the record. Seeing none in person, we'll close the public hearing, and if there are no further questions or comments from the commission, I'll take entertain a motion.
I make a motion that we approve FY 24 one APL as presented by staff.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Krause and a second by Commissioner Smith for approval. May we have a vote, please?
Yes. Commissioner Morales.
Aye.
Commissioner Walker.
Aye.
Commissioner Jurassic.
Aye.
Commissioner Krause.
Aye.
Commissioner Smith.
Aye.
Commissioner Carney.
Aye.
Chair Marshall.
Aye.
The vote is unanimous and the motion carries.
And seeing no further business, we'll close the meeting at 6:10. Thank you, everybody.